everyone. Welcome to another interview with the life of Josh and Sarah. Today, I have an amazing friend on here. And not only has she been an amazing friend, she's been like a sister to me and kind of like a grandma to the boys because she's always there when we need somebody to help us out. So I really appreciate her. So, Sarah, you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you grew up.
First of all, I want to say thank you. I appreciate that, and you've been like a sister to me as well. And I love your kids. I really do love your boys and just your family. You're a great family, and I'm excited for you and Josh on this new adventure, and that you invited me to be your first interview. That's exciting. So yes, I would love to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up Amish, and this is kind of what your channel is all about, is interviewing Amish and former Amish people. And I was the new old order Amish. I was old order Amish. And I don't know, there's such a difference in all the different orders, but old order to me is just more of the lower Amish. We're not new order. The new order would be the ones that have generators, or they'd have a little bit more modern things to do their life with.
Yeah.
But I was considered old order, and my family, I was from a family of 16.
Wow.
Mom and dad had 16 children, 8 boys and 8 girls. I always like to joke and say I was the oldest of the second half. So I was number 9.
Okay. So you were directly in the middle.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So I was in the middle, and I'm named after my mom, which was pretty neat. I really loved that. And it makes it even more special because at a young age, I lost my mom. So,
what age were you when you lost your mom?
I was 14.
14.
Yeah.
Wow. That had to be a huge impact.
Yeah, it was really hard. And I had been to funerals of other people, but I never realized what it's like. It never hit me until it was my own mom. And then I was like, wait, this can't happen. This is not right. It just felt so unreal. I remember crying myself to sleep that night. It was just such a shock. And yeah, it was not pretty. So
I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
You probably felt like you're dreaming. You wish you would wake up.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I did. I was sleeping, and I'd wake up the next morning, and I was like, wait, no, this can't be right. Let me go back to sleep and wake up differently. Like, I wanted it to just go away, but it was there.
That's crazy. So there were 16 of you. And were any of them married when your mom passed away?
Yes, there was 3 of my siblings married. There was 2 of them that were engaged to be married.
Oh, wow.
And that was another huge thing. Is there was 2 other girls that were older than me that were the ones that were going to take charge for what mom did. Basically take over all the household chores and just taking care of the younger siblings and all that. And so a lot of that also, I wasn't the oldest one, so not all of it fell on me, but I helped with it.
Yeah.
So it was a huge responsibility at that young of an age. So
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Do you know how old your mom was when she passed?
43.
43.
Yeah.
And what caused it?
So she was actually in an accident.
Okay.
Mom and dad had went to town, and they had taken a freshly trained horse, but he was well trained, and they thought he was really good. And so it was close to lunchtime, and they were in a parking lot of a store, and they were getting ready to tie the horse up, but it was right around lunchtime. So dad had taken some feed along for the horse and some water, and was going to feed him. And mom and dad had taken some sandwiches along, so mom was getting those ready. She stayed on the buggy, was getting those ready for them to eat, and dad was getting the horse ready to feed him.
Mhm.
Well, if you have a horse and you're driving him, he has the bit in his mouth, and he can't eat with that. So he was taking that bridle off and putting a halter on, and there was that quick interaction. And in that split second, when that happened, the horse got spooked and started running.
So he was still hitched up to the buggy.
Yes,
Okay.
and mom was still on the buggy. And so it ran right straight towards a busy road, really busy road. Mom saw it happening, so she started stepping off the buggy, and as she did, her dress caught the wheel and it just flung her on the pavement. And they did life flight her because she still had a pulse when the emergency people got there. But it was in a big town, and it got put on the news. And
wow.
I believe people that saw it prayed for our family because it was on the news. And if you see something on the news like that, if you're a Christian, you pray for the people.
Automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I truly believe people did pray for us because of the rest of my story. And I will touch on that later again, and how I feel that impacted us. But I believe there's a reason why it happened where it did, and that it got put on the news.
That's crazy. So there was three of your siblings were married.
Yes.
So 3 of them were married. So there were still 12 of them, 13 of them.
13. Yeah.
And how did your dad take care of 13 kids by himself?
It was rough. My older 2 sisters really stepped up to the plate. They really did an amazing job. And shout out to my sister Emma. She did so good with the kids, and she basically was mom to the younger siblings.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was hard on dad because he struggled with depression, and it was hard for him to keep going in a sense.
I do remember one time you mentioned that your dad wouldn't come out of the bedroom for like a long time sometimes.
Yeah, he struggled with depression so much that he was sick in bed. Wow. And he tried pills, he tried counseling, he tried all natural things, he tried all the things there was to try to help him with his depression, and nothing seemed to help him. And he got to the point where he just didn't care to live anymore. So he would just stay in bed, had no purpose to get out of bed. So we were all concerned about him and didn't know how to help him in the middle of that. But before it got really bad, we actually moved from that community to a different community.
Okay.
And we were kind of we were hoping that changing like the order of the church, it was still old order, but it was just you were allowed to have more things. We were hoping that it would help him, and he actually wanted to move. He wanted to change, but I think it took some of the severity out of it, but it still came back, and it just was there again, and it just continued. So
and to realize that didn't fix the problem.
Yeah.
Just having.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I can't imagine. I mean, I can only imagine being a father of 16 kids and all of a sudden you're there by yourself, and
Right.
just like that has to be hard.
Yeah, it was.
Go on. So if you see us looking at our books here, we have some notes here.
Yes. So I can stay on track.
Yeah. So we're looking at it. So you were 14 when your mom passed away.
Yeah.
And then kind of from there on, like when was the first time you thought about leaving the Amish?
Well, it kind of goes along with Dad's depression. He had a little Gideon's Bible in his nightstand.
Okay.
So when he was in bed sick, all at once he decided, well, he's going to get that out and read it. The Amish the ones where we were in didn't allow you to have an English Bible.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted you to read it in German. Now, German was not our day-to-day language.
Yeah.
It was more of a Pennsylvania Dutch is what we called it. And so reading it in German was hard to understand. So he pulled out his English Bible and he started reading that, knowing he wasn't allowed to do that according to the church leaders. And he found things in there that kind of contradicted the rules that the Amish church had.
Mm-hmm.
So he started questioning. He started asking us children, did you know this says this in the Bible? And it got him out of bed. It got him excited about life again. And we saw that. And we were desperate to help him with whatever would get him out of bed and get him excited about life again. So we encouraged it. And we were intrigued too because of what it said. And so that really helped us to start us on that journey of seeking, what is there more than what we were taught?
Wow.
Yeah.
So your dad was kind of the first one that started seeking. Like, did you leave before he did? Or did he?
So we all left as a family.
Okay.
Yeah, we left as a family. And that was kind of an interesting way how that came about too, because when he first started reading in the English version, he went to the preachers and he showed them.
Oh boy.
And this was the wrong thing to do because they said no. They said you're reading too much. You're reading the Bible too much. Can you imagine?
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's very typical among the Amish.
Yeah.
They do that. They don't want you to read the Bible too much. They want you to listen to the elders and the preachers and whatever they have to say goes. So
yep. They want to be in control. And I don't want to ever bash the Amish. I'm just saying this was my story. This is how we found the truth.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because on an Easter Sunday, one of our horses got caught in a barbed wire fence and really messed up his leg.
Wow.
So we had no other choice but to call the veterinary. And normally on a Sunday, you wouldn't have much doings with the outside world, as we called it, and also no exchange of money. And so it was an emergency case. So we had to call the vet. And this young man comes out and he started working on the horse, and of course my brothers were right there working with him and talking with him. And he was a Christian. He was a very strong Christian. And he started asking my brothers questions. He's like, do you guys believe in Easter? Because this was on Easter Sunday. Wow. So he's like, do you guys celebrate Easter? And they're like, yeah, we do. And he's like, okay, why?
Yeah.
And my brother was kind of taken back because he's like, it's Easter.
Made him question, how do we?
But he's like, duh, it's Easter. We all celebrate Easter. But he's like, no, but really, why? Why do you celebrate Easter? What is Easter about? And finally, he hawing around a little bit. My brother admitted, he's like, well, honestly, I don't know.
Wow.
And instead of him just giving him the answer and telling him why, he said, do you have a Bible? And he said, go read. Told him where to read. So it got him into the Word.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he started reading it. And then this just really intrigued all of us. And he started coming out at night after dark because we weren't allowed to have Bible studies, especially not with somebody from the outside. Right. And so he started coming out in the evenings after dark, and we would have Bible studies. He would show us in the Bible where it says this and that, and he just brought truth and just poured into us and just spoke life into us. And it was so good. Like we all were just eating it up because we were hungry, we were seeking. And well, it wasn't long until the church found out what was happening. So they tried to put an end to it. But my older brother was not having it. He was not happy about it. So he kept sneaking around and calling him and just talking on the phone instead of him actually showing up at the house. They'd just have phone conversations.
Just they would see if the car was there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. People would notice that and ask, what were you doing? Or, just they really just want to control your life.
Yeah.
And then they found out that he was still having conversations with him. So they tried to put an end to that.
Wow.
Like they said, you can't even call him. You can't talk to him. And their reason was this is can't think of the word, like worldly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is gonna
being deceived
deceive you. Yeah. This is gonna deceive you. But we felt such a presence, like we just felt that this was the right thing to do. So because my brother was defiant and wouldn't listen to the church leaders, they were going to vote in church to just shun him from the church.
Oh, wow. So not the whole family, just him.
Just him, because he was the main one at that point that was still talking to him. Well, it came down to the point where we had to vote one way or another, and it was me and my dad and two of my brothers that didn't agree with the vote.
Oh boy.
So they were like, they tried and we just wouldn't agree. So they pulled us aside in church. They pulled us aside and they tried to talk to us. And we were like, no, we're not going to agree to this. And they put us aside. They shunned us so that they can continue with what they wanted. Because they were desperate to just shun him. So they put us aside and gave us a couple weeks to decide if we want to confess or if we want to just...
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
So I have a question on that. Do you know if somebody has something and they bring it to the church, if they want to make it a rule or something like that, how many people have to disagree before, or do they all have to agree to make it a thing of where,
so
shun him? They all have to agree to shun him?
Supposedly that's how it works. And that's what blew me away, is because instead of saying, no, we can't shun him because there's some disagreement here, they just put the three of us, they shunned the three of us for a week and said, no, we're going to continue with the majority of the vote.
Wow. So
it was supposed to be 100% or, revisit.
So that's what I was wondering. Like normally if they try to, go through with a law or something, it has to be 100% before they can.
I believe so. Okay. That could vary from church to church, but I believe it's supposed to be a anonymous vote of one way or another. Yeah.
This is interesting because I was never a church member, so I was never in the congregation. Yeah. They made their laws and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah. So then that had to been a couple years throughout that after your mom passed away.
Yeah. So I was, when my mom passed away, I was 14. When we moved, I was 15 and a half. So about a year and a half later, I was 19.
Okay.
So 5 years later?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll put a picture of her when she was Amish. We'll put it on the screen here so you can see what she looked like and kind of how she dressed when she was Amish. So
yeah. That was when I was 19, when we decided then, after they put us out of the church the way they did, we had some really deep, hard, agonizing conversations because this was all we knew growing up.
Yeah.
My dad of 52 years, this was all he knew, other than the depression he went through and then the truth he found in the Bible. This was really hard to even think about leaving what was so familiar to us. But we also, the peace that we got with the truth trumped the familiarity of our religion that we were in.
Yeah. I was also gonna say, like, when there's a funeral among the Amish, they always come together and they help out. I'm sure that was hard too, to just kind of let those people down and just, because I'm sure they helped out. They brought you meals
Oh,
and
they
stuff like
did.
that,
Yeah.
like when that happened. So that probably made it even harder
Yeah.
to just go.
Yeah, it did. And I had a best friend. We all had friends. I mean, at the age of 19, you can imagine.
Right.
Well, we started what we call joining the young folks,
Uh-huh.
which is when you could start dating at the age of 17. So I had joined and I had been dating
Oh,
and
you
I had a few dates. So we had good friends. We had a lot going on, but so leaving all that was really hard.
Yeah.
It felt like we had to give up literally everything. And it reminded me of the scripture, and I don't know where it's located at, but it talks about if you don't hate your father, your mother, your brother, your sister in accordance to how much you love Jesus, you're not worthy of him.
Yeah.
And that was our comfort. Like, it was very comforting to know that Jesus knew we had to go through this. And he cared enough for us that he would bring us the comfort that we needed through that time. And he did. I also believe that he repaid us 100-fold.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So many things that we lost that we gained, like multiples back. Friends, family, just even just physical things. It was like we lost a lot, but we gained so much more. And the peace and the joy that we got from learning about his word and what he said, it was just very overwhelming.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So this guy, the veterinary, are you still in contact with him, or does he know what he did for you guys?
Oh, yes, he does.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could call him up today and he would, would be like nothing happened
that's
in
amazing.
those many years. Yeah.
So cool. It's so cool how God works in ways like that, where this guy was, I mean, that was obviously a setup that this guy sent out.
And he is a missionary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
At that time, he was practicing veterinarian, but he went on to be a missionary. Plus, he has his own vet clinic now, and a very successful young man. And I think it's such a testimony too to the Lord provides. He provides if you are faithful and you do what he asks you to do.
Yeah.
And that day, he asked this young man to talk to my brothers, to witness to my brothers. And it wasn't just my brothers, it was our whole family.
Yeah. That is so cool. So you left. Was it hard to get your driver's license and stuff like that after you left, or did that come pretty easy?
So it wasn't too terrible. I remember practicing before I went to get my license, and I was like, I will never be able to drive. But once I did it a couple times and I got the hang of it, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I think it was mostly the hardest on my dad because it was hard for him, although he knew that he didn't want to be Amish anymore and he knew that he wanted to change. It was hard for him to change.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine in 52 years old and everything changes? He struggled at first with allowing us to change our dress.
Okay.
That went on for a while. So we had clothes. We were okay wearing what we had. We started doing simple things like we had to have long sleeves on our dresses and the boys had to have long sleeves on their shirts. They were allowed to roll them up in the summertime or, stuff like that. So we started out with cutting our sleeves off on our dresses. Just simple things like that made it nice, more convenient. And then once we went that step, it was like he just showed us that it's okay. And we kept praying and talking about these things and trying to convince our dad that it was okay.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
at first I was ready to just jump in, just
Right.
go put on a pair of jeans and run. But I also respected and understood where he was coming from. So we respected that. And then it went from that to, okay, we're allowed to wear other dresses, but just not pants. And eventually he then was okay with it. And it took him many years before he was even able to get rid of his beard, because he had, a decent sized beard. Yeah. Or allow his mustache hair to grow.
Wow. Yeah.
Things like that, it just took time. But as time went on, he became okay with it, and he continued allowing us to do more things and give us more freedom, and getting a job and all those things that come with life.
Yeah.
Outside the Amish.
So were you still wearing your dress and your cap when you got your driver's license?
No, not my Amish.
Okay.
Dress.
That's why I was wondering. I'm like, oh, got this Amish girl driving.
No, but I was still wearing like skirts and shirts, that type of thing. Yeah.
So you didn't look like completely Amish.
No.
Yeah.
No, and then another thing that we really struggled with was losing the head covering. Yeah. That was a really a hard struggle. Then we prayed about it a lot. We sought out other people that had convictions on it or had gotten revelation on it, and we just, we were seeking about that. And so until one day my youngest sister had like a revelation as she was reading in the Bible where it talks about the head covering. She was reading that, and it was like the Lord just imparted revelation to her, and she shared with all of us. And after that, it was just like we had freedom.
Wow.
It was okay. It was okay to not have to wear that.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about how, so there was 8 of you, and then the oldest, Emma, right? Was Emma the oldest?
She was not the oldest. She was the 4th.
So is there still a couple of them Amish?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How many of them?
So I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers that are still Amish.
Okay. Yep. Oh, wow. Okay. But so Emma started a bakery.
Yes.
Called 8 Sisters Bakery.
Yep.
Yeah. And then how did you guys participate all in that?
So she had this dream. She always wanted to have a bakery, because growing up, we would bake to sell, and we would take it out to the roadside and sell it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So my mom loved baking, and she taught us well. She taught us how to make all the things. So Emma really had a passion for that, and she wanted to have her own bakery. So she worked at the bakery at Der Dutchman in Belleville for several years, quite a few years, and got a lot of knowledge there on how to run a business and how to make things, how to use the commercialized equipment and all that. So she had a lot of hands-on learning there. And so she decided she wants to start her own bakery, but she couldn't quite afford it. So we figured between the 2 of us, we will just start out of my home just by taking orders and, getting a client base started. So we did that for a while. And then she had a friend that had a storefront in Mount Gilead that he said he's working on it. He's fixing it up. And if she would like to rent that, he would fix it according to her needs.
Okay.
And so that she went and looked at it. Once again, a huge financial step, but my husband and I decided we're going to help her out. So we lent her some money. She also borrowed money from the bank, and I would work alongside her full time until she got this going. Wow. Yeah. And it was really hard. It was hard to start out, but she had a financial advisor, like a business counselor person that she would always, they made a plan, like they had a layout of what their goal was, and it helped her a
Wow.
lot. So she had the business mind of it, and I put in a lot of the physical work. So a team like that, it worked.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, thanks for doing that. Thanks for helping her out because I know she has helped a lot of ex-Amish.
Yes.
Just that come out of the Amish and need a job. I know she's helped a lot of them, including me. I was one of those. So, yeah, I really appreciate you helping her out with that and just getting it going.
Yeah. It was until I had my own child, and I worked there until my oldest one was 6 months old. And I asked her, I said, the bakery was your dream. Being a stay-at-home mom is my dream.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that financially. So I asked her for her blessing, and she said, yeah, go ahead.
Wow.
It's not like you have to stay here and work for me. So that was really nice because I got to help her get it started. But then I had the blessing to
live
go
your
my own,
dream.
live my dream. So
Yeah. So you did not know your husband when you were Amish, right?
no, I did
No.
not.
So you met after you left.
Yes, shortly after we left, my brothers were going to go camp in the woods, in our woods, because we had a big farm, big property. And they invited a friend of theirs that had also left the Amish. And he said, well, I'll come, but can I bring my friend along?
Oh.
And they were like, yeah, that's fine. They didn't care. The more the merrier. And so they went and camped, and that was the first time I met him.
Oh, wow. So your husband was the friend, right?
Yeah, my husband was the friend.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So he came, and they had a great weekend. The next morning, they were shooting clays with the vet friend. Also came and was there, and he was ministering to the boys, and it was just great. They were shooting clay pigeons and just having a great time. And then my husband ended up moving to Florida for a couple months after that.
Wow, I did not know that.
So he was in Florida and had a friend that he knew growing up that lived down there. So he had somewhere to go and somebody to live with, and he helped him with lawn care business. So he would work that, and he was doing great. Then he decided he's going to come back and go back to the Amish.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, there was another one of his friends, a different one, that was living at my brother's house, because my brother had opened his house to people that leave the Amish and needed a job or just needed help. He had opened his home, and so he was living there. And so he was back and forth with Aaron, my husband. And he said, why don't you come here and live here with me for a while until you know for sure if you want to go back to the Amish? And my husband was like, well, I don't want to come there unless her brother specifically invites me to come and stay there. And so my brother found out. So he's like, called him up and said, no, you're welcome to come here. I'll even give you work while you're here,
Wow.
take your time, figure out what you want to do in life. And so he did, and he started working with my brothers, and my brothers convinced him to go on a date with me.
Oh,
and
boy. That much convincing.
did not.
Yeah, I'm like, was there anything like before he moved to Florida when you met the first time? Was there anything between you guys? Like, did you think?
Not for him, but for me, I liked him, but it wasn't. We didn't have that much interaction, so it wasn't really that. Not a lot.
Yeah.
But when I heard that he was coming back and that he was going to go back to the Amish, he made the remark that he's going to fly back. He was flying back, and he said he was going to go out bowling. And if nobody shows up, then nobody cares anyway. So he's just going to go back Amish.
Oh, boy.
And I felt compassion. Like, I felt like, okay, we need to show him that we care. And so I was determined that people show up there. I don't think I myself went, but I think my brothers might have went. So it was really compassion at that time to make sure he knows that, he's making the right choice. Yeah. And then when he started working with my brothers, and I saw he would I'm going to back up just a little bit. When we left the Amish, then Mission to Amish People, Matt Ministry, Joe Kime, he would come and he would have church service at our house because it was so different for us, and it was so new. So for us to go and look for a church to go to would have really been hard for us. So he came and he'd held services at our house, and we were able to be involved and ask questions and just fellowship with each other. And other families would come too. Like, it wasn't just our family, it was neighbors and friends, and they'd show up, and it was really neat. So Aaron started coming to that when he was living at my brother's house. And so after the service, we'd always have like a meal together and just hang out, play volleyball, all that stuff. And I noticed how the kids were just attracted to him, and he was just so sweet with kids because my brother had little kids and they were like little siblings to him, and he just loved on them. And that was like my attraction to him. Like, because physically he was a mess. He had the longest hippie hair and beard and mustache and stuff. So physically he wasn't that attractive.
You're still in the early stage of leaving the Amish. That's how they always. Yeah.
But he's pretty handsome though now.
Yeah. So you got married. How old were you when you got married?
I was 21.
21.
Yeah.
How long have you been married now?
So on Saturday, it will be 17 years.
Oh, wow. 17?
Yes, 17 years.
How many kids?
So we have 4 kids.
4 kids.
Yeah. Ages 11, 9, 7, and almost 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, two boys and 2 girls. So we're really blessed, and it just feels like a dream. Like, I just can't. I remember when we left, and we had people that we knew that had left for like 15, 20 years, and we're like, that's such a long time, it seems so crazy, and here I am, 17 years married, 19 years that we have left the Amish, and it just seems like a dream. Yeah.
Wow.
In some sense, it seems really long because I have a lot of memory loss. Like, not necessarily memory loss, but it's just a lot of things that just seem like a blur to me. But I also, it seems like it was just yesterday. So yeah, very cool.
All right. So we're about running out of time, but I have one more question. Is there something when you were growing up, like something that happened that really stood out to you, or like just like a little short story that you would have that happened in your childhood? Or...
Yes, there is. I just remember growing up, and this might not be exactly what you're looking for, but I do know I had thought about I should share this because when I was just a little girl, I remember being so full of joy. I was just always singing, and I remember even as I was doing my chores, I would pray. I did not know God. Nobody taught me about who God is or that you pray, but I remember talking to him in my own words. And then the funny story is when I was little, I would always run around the house and I'd be singing. My favorite thing to sing was my full name, my age, what grade I was in, my address, just, those kind of things.
Wow.
And I was running around the house doing that, kind of skipping around, doing my thing. And my sister had a big bowl of hot water, and I ran into her, and the water poured all over my shoulder. And I still have a scar from that. Yes, I do, on my shoulder. So I got a really bad burn. And to this day, all my siblings remember my birthday because I would sing it all the time. And then that story of me, I was just being my happy little self, running around, and then I got a nice burn.
That's awesome. So you had you have happy memories of your childhood.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
It's amazing. All right. Well, I think we'll probably wrap it up here. And
Can I share one more thing?
Yeah.
When I shared about the news when mom's accident was,
Uh-huh.
when I shared about that being on the news and praying for people, I just want to encourage people that if they ever see an accident or if they see anything going on, they think it's dumb to pray for them, go for it. Because I truly believe that's where we're at today because of people that were praying for us at that time.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you have to see the results of it. God can move. God will move if you pray. So just be encouraged if you see anything, pray for those people, their family, their loved ones, people involved. Just pray.
I heard a pastor or somebody say that every time they see an ambulance going, she always says to their kids, "Let's pray for them."
Mm-hmm.
And now they automatically, when their kids see an ambulance, they automatically come. They're like, "Hey, let's pray for these people on there,"
sweet.
and just like lift them up.
Mm-hmm.
Say, So yeah, I think that's
cool.
really encouraging.
Yeah.
Just to
Because I don't know who prayed for us, but I thank them. Like
Mhm.
if you hear this and you were one of those that heard that news,
Yeah,
thank you for praying.
yeah, it's incredible.
Awesome.
All right, well, thank you so much, Sarah, for doing this.
Thank you
and
for
sharing
having
your
me.
story, and
Yeah.
it's been awesome. So,
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching, and we hope this encourages you guys. And just you have a blessed day and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.